Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3677 BN. Today's date is July 1st, 2025, and the title of the episode is Trump setting Elon free? Subsidies? Information warfare? All roads lead to Obama and the central bank. Let's talk about protecting our wealth. You probably think your 401k is safe, that it's growing, that'll be enough for your retirement. But what if it's not? Here's the truth. Your 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was created in a corporate boardroom to shift retirement costs and investment risks onto you. Designed to keep your money trapped, exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, uncertainty you can't control. Until now, Americans are taking back control by turning to real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands protect their future by converting part of their retirement savings into physical gold. Talk to Noble Gold today and learn how safe and easy it is to roll over your 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. Visit x22gold.com to get your free wealth protection kit, including a step-by-step guide to get started. That's x22gold.com. It's time to get your money out of the danger zone and into something real. And here's a bonus offer. Get rewarded for getting started. Open a qualified account at x22gold.com and they'll send you 2 5-ounce Silver America the Beautiful coins free. That is x22gold.com or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, you can see they are now panicking because Trump now is shutting down their entire system every step of the way. And with the big, beautiful bill that is now going to pass and he's going to sign, this is really going to make them really, really panic. Because remember, they've been talking about how this is going to destroy the economy, how it's not going to work, how he's spending a lot of money. And what people are going to see, they're going to see the opposite. But the other thing that's really interesting right now is that every step of the way, we see that Trump and Elon, they are going at each other. And what always comes up and what's always mentioned is subsidies. Oh, Elon is upset because we're removing the EV subsidies. Oh, he's upset about this because it's going to hurt his business. And what's very interesting about this is we know that Elon, he's always said he doesn't care about the subsidies, but Trump continually brings up the subsidies. And then you have to ask the question, why is that? Well, think about it. When Elon got the subsidies for SpaceX and everything else that he's doing, who was in charge? Obama. Was Obama using the subsidies to then sell Elon's technology to Iran and to North Korea? Because we have a couple of posts that mention SpaceX. We have a couple of posts that mention Barack Obama. We have a couple of posts that mention Hillary Clinton. We have a couple of posts that say SpaceX, they were developing rocket systems, reusable rocket systems, and this technology was being sold to other countries where they could develop rockets cheaply and they would be able to carry warheads. Now, if you step back and you take a look, we know the entire 16-year plan was to bring us to war. And the subsidies actually kept Elon captured. Now, Trump and Elon, they're going at each other, talking about subsidies, and Elon saying, cut them all. I don't care. Cut them all. Is Trump going to set him free? I do believe that this entire feud is put on. I do believe optics are very important. And how else do you remove the subsidies? Because remember, if Elon was still part of the administration, why would this be brought up? Why would Trump all of a sudden, he's part of the administration, why would Trump say all of a sudden, let's remove the subsidies from Elon? And it's not just going to be Elon. It's going to be from everybody. So think about it. It wouldn't make sense, and people would get angry and pissed off, and the optics wouldn't be good. Now, if they had a feud and they were arguing with each other and Trump said, well, you know what? I'm just going to remove your subsidies and we're going to take Doge and it's going to go after you to inspect what you've been doing. Now, what do you think they're going to find? Do you think that Doge might uncover that Obama, Hillary Clinton, and others have sold information in regards to Elon's technology to other countries? I mean, think about what they're doing right now. I do believe that this is an information war. We're still in information war. This is not ended. Even though Trump was elected, we are still fighting the deep state players. They are still embedded in our system. They're entrenched in our system. And I do believe that all roads lead to Obama. They all lead to the central bank system. And when you look at what Elon is doing with the big, beautiful bill, calling out the debt ceiling, he's bringing attention to the central bank system, the economy that we're in today. Because I do believe Trump is now preparing and setting up a parallel economy via tariffs, via the gold card, via energy sales. And I do believe that people need to understand that the central bank system is a private corporation, and the uniparty, because it's all one party, they work on behalf of the central bank system. So over time, they never fix anything. I mean, when you listen to Massey, when you listen to Rand Paul, yes, they have great suggestions, but they never go to the heart of the problem. And the heart of the problem is removing the entire system that we're in today. That is what's going to fix it in the end. And I do believe that Trump is probably going to set Elon free. And once he's free from government control, well, then he's no longer dependent. And I do believe with Doge looking into the business of Elon, they're going to discover that there were certain players that were selling his technology to Iran, to North Korea, which brings us back to Iran again, to uranium. So I do believe in the end, we're going to see all of this play out. And yes, I do believe all roads lead to Obama. Now, that doesn't mean other people aren't going to be arrested, because we know that there's certain individuals who are unelected and also elected. They're also going to be ensnared in this gigantic sting operation. But I do believe that Trump's mission right now is to focus on Obama and then the central bank system, because in the end, the people are going to realize and understand who's responsible for everything that we have seen throughout our lifetimes. Because now with RFK Jr. uncovering the lies that have been pushed for a very long time, people are starting to realize that the vaccines, they were responsible for autism. They lied about the results of their test. We now know that doctors are getting kickbacks from the vaccine manufacturers. The more vaccines they give you, the more money they make. And if they give you a certain number of vaccines, they get a big bonus. So think about it. The doctors, are they really doing it for the best interest of you? Or are they doing it to become wealthy? Because this goes against the Hippocratic Oath. And this is why when people reject the vaccines, this is why the doctor gets angry. Sometimes the doctor kicks you out of the practice because it ruins their ability to get the funding. So most of these doctors, they've been trained by the pharmaceutical companies. They are brainwashed by the pharmaceutical companies. They don't know anything else except the pharmaceutical companies, and they do everything the pharmaceutical companies want them to do. And all this information now is being brought out into the public, which means for a very long time, we've been lied to. We've been lied to about the economy. We've been lied to about the cures and the vaccines and everything else. We've been lied to about almost everything. And yes, for some people, this is very, very difficult to believe. This is very, very difficult to accept. And I do believe this is why Trump and the Patriots have been dripping the information out, because people need a little bit of time to digest it. If it was all dumped on the people, I know a lot of people want the truth out there. They're sick and tired of waiting. But again, most of the population, they're not paying attention to any of this. Most of the population is not really seeing anything else except like the open borders, or maybe the economy's doing bad, because they could feel that. Everything else, most of the people don't even realize. So as the information comes out, they need time to digest it. They need time to believe it. And I do believe that's what we've been seeing. And every step of the way, what people are seeing is they're seeing the entrenched system, which is made up of the judiciary, which is made up of the fake news, which is made up of all these individuals within D.C. and all the different agencies. The people now are seeing how the money laundering works. And soon you're going to see how they were able to sell secrets, rocket technology, and other secrets to other countries. And yes, we know about Hillary Clinton's email servers. That was part of it. We know that Obama was part of it. And we know that they've been selling uranium to many different countries to assist them in creating a nuclear weapon so we can go to World War III. And yes, that was North Korea and Iran. And Trump used all of this against them to bring it out into the open. Because think about it. When Biden came into office, they thought, oh, look, we can have Iran enrich as much as they want. We can get this war kicked off. And Trump used this against them to go in and destroy the three areas. Even though the fake news is trying to keep the idea that, oh, no, he didn't do anything. Again, they're panicking right now, and this is all they have. They're running cover for Iran. They're running cover for the deep state players. But in the end, it's not going to work because it's all going to come out. And Trump is bringing all the pieces together slowly but surely. And I do believe Elon is assisting, and I do believe Trump is about to cut Elon from the deep state players. Think about that for a second. We'll be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about the app that this individual made to track the ICE law enforcement. Now, Secretary Kristi Noem, she put this out on X, and she said, "This sure looks like obstruction of justice. Our brave ICE law enforcement face 500% increase in assaults against them. If you obstruct or assault our law enforcement, we will hunt you down and you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law." Amuse responded to this and says, "Include Apple for distributing the app. It violates their TOS. Apple's App Store reviews guidelines prohibit apps that facilitate, enable, or encourage illegal activity. A clear precedent is HKMap.live, an app that tracked Hong Kong police movement during protests. Apple explicitly cited this guideline when removing it. The app allowed users to evade law enforcement and facilitates of activity that is not legal." So that's very interesting. Yeah, Apple should probably take it down. And what's very interesting is that the deep state players, they're making it a very, very big deal. And this is what they always do. They blow things out of proportion. Because a 75-year-old Cuban national died in ICE custody, and he lived in the U.S. for 60 years. Holman said, people die in ICE custody. People die in county jails. People die in state prisons. The question should be, how many lives does ICE save? And that should be the question. Because remember, these people are here illegally. Yeah, they've been hiding from authorities, or the authorities let them stay here because, again, they were being directed by Biden and many others. But once again, they like to blow these things out of proportion because think about it. How many illegals died in ICE custody under Biden's term from January 2021 to January 2025? 23 died. So did they make a really big deal about this? They did not. So once again, you can see it's the same thing as, oh, look, Trump is putting them in cages. No, Obama built the cages. Obama put people in the cages. Trump just did what Obama did because he set them up. And once again, you can see how the fake news protects the entrenched enemy. That's their job. And you can see the judges now, they are now struggling with the basic question. Julie Kelly put this out. If the Aliens Enemy Act is not subject to judicial review, consent, then how can judges impose a notification or due process mandate? You see, the judges are trapped right now because the Supreme Court said to them, listen, you're violating the Constitution. You don't have the authority to go outside of your district. You can't tell the executive branch what to do. And there's already a law on the books that gives the president the right to do this. So basically, they're telling the judiciary, the tyrannical judiciary, where they were trying to push a coup, that no, you can't do this because it's a violation. And you don't have the authority. That's what they're really saying. But you can see with everything that's going on, you can see that we do have a uniparty. It's not Republican, Democrat. It's MAGA, Rhino, Democrat. Actually, it seems like as of right now, there's three parties. And I do believe we're in the process of removing the rhinos. Remember, that's a Republican in name only. It's called the Uniparty. DC Drano put this out and said, these fake Republicans in California are now calling for amnesty for illegal aliens. These cowards need to be primaried. Suzette Valdares, Brian Jones, Diane Dixon, Rosalie Bow, Heath Flora, Lori Davies. And I do believe these individuals should be primaried because, once again, why do we give illegals amnesty? If they came in here illegally, that's the whole term, illegal, there's no reason to do this. You send them back. If they like to come to this country legally, well, go to the port of entry. It's that simple. And what's very interesting is when you look at the alligator Alcatraz now, you can see that Trump and DeSantis, they built this very, very quickly, of course, with DHS, and they set up cages. Once again, there's bunk beds in there. This whole place is air conditioned. They have a nice floor, and they are kept there until they're moved to their country of origin or another third country. And when you look the way Biden kept the illegals, he kept them in gigantic pens with no beds or anything else. They're all sitting on the floor. You can definitely see the difference. Absolutely. And what's very interesting is that Ron DeSantis and MJ Truth Ultra put this out. He announced he will deputize members of the National Guard to be immigration judges. Translation, it won't take 3 to 5 years for illegal aliens to go to court. It will take only a day or two. So this is very interesting, and I do believe there's going to be a lot of other states that are going to copy this, where all of a sudden we're going to have these judges saying, okay, you came in here illegally, you broke the law, okay, you go back to your country. That's their due process, and it will be very, very quick. Trump, he put this out and said, because of the violence and criminality I've seen due to the open border policy of Sleepy Joe Biden, and particularly allowing millions of people into our country who shouldn't be here, I wanted something representative to show how we fight back. And then it happened. I saw a picture of Alcatraz looking so foreboding, and I said, we're going to look into renovating and rebuilding the famous Alcatraz prison, sitting high on the bay, surrounded by sharks. What a symbol it is, and will be. Conceptual work started 6 months ago, and various prison development firms are looking at doing it with us. Still a little early, but lots of promise. So let's see, we have alligator Alcatraz, and yes, Trump made some jokes that he's going to teach the illegals how to zigzag instead of run straight, because alligators have a very difficult time. When you zigzag, they can't move side to side that quickly. They can move straight very quickly. And that'd be very interesting because now all the illegals are seeing the alligator Alcatraz. They're seeing Alcatraz in the San Francisco Bay. And now they're saying, you know something? Let me leave the country. Let me come in through the port of entry legally. And all those criminals who are not going to leave, well, they know where they're going to end up. So yeah, they're panicking, and all the individuals that are trying to get into this country, well, they're starting to hear about alligator Alcatraz. They're starting to hear about Alcatraz, and they're saying to themselves, well, if we go in there, that's where we're going to end up in the end, because Trump is not fooling around. And as of right now, the borders are shut down. But Trump did say something that's very, very interesting, and Nick sort of put this out. Trump just asked the DOJ to look into arresting Mayorkas for aiding and abetting an invasion of our country. Now, once again, it doesn't matter if you have a position in the government. If you break the law, which Mayorkas did, he brought in illegals. He allowed them to come in without vetting or anything else, sent them to the sanctuary cities, along with many others. They should be tried. And Biden never pardoned Mayorkas, so he's free game. The Justice Department should look into this, and actually should probably go to every single one of these individuals that were all for it. Anyone that assisted in helping people come into this country illegally that broke federal law, they should all be going to prison. Let's see how this all plays out, because I do believe this is going to be a warning to every single one of these individuals. Now, the other thing that's very interesting, and we know this from yesterday, the Senate rejected the Big Beautiful Bill provision to kick illegals off Medicaid. Now, what I do believe Trump did with this Big Beautiful Bill, he had certain things put into the Big Beautiful Bill to actually distract the rhinos, distract the Ds, and to have them focus on certain things, because he didn't want them touching everything else that he had in the bill. Because remember, with this, he could actually probably do what? He could probably use an executive order to kick the people off Medicaid. Yes, I know there's everyone saying, well, it's illegal for them to come on Medicaid. But if these people are already on Medicaid, they already broke the law. So Trump then can use an executive order to say all those people that broke the law should now be kicked off Medicaid. So I do believe what he did is he put the Second Amendment stuff in there, Medicaid stuff in there. Because remember, we already have the Second Amendment. We already have the law of the land. It's in the Constitution. All we got to do is go back to it. So I do believe he put these things in here, everything the deep state would hate, everything the rhinos would hate, and he made them focus on that. Had them say, okay, we're going to remove it. Trump goes, look at that. They're looking at this, but really what I want is this over here. The no tax on tips, because again, we're heading in a completely and utterly different direction. We are going to remove ourselves from the central bank system, and this big, beautiful bill is going to help us do this. This is just the beginning. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that we could see is that, and Charlie Kirk put this out, a vote of 49 to 51, the Senate has just rejected an amendment which would have funded Planned Parenthood as part of the big, beautiful bill. So the Senate wasn't for this. This completely and utterly failed. And this really wasn't on the big, beautiful bill in the very beginning. Anyhow, they tried to put this on here, and it looks like the D's and some of the rhinos probably tried to push this, but it completely and utterly failed. Now, the other thing that we could see is we could see that Elon and Trump, they are now in this feud. I do believe it's a feud that Elon and Trump created for a specific purpose. And what Elon is doing right now, he is now basically calling out the uniparty, calling out the central bank system, calling out that the uniparty never fixes the problem, and trying to get as many people on his side to go against the big, beautiful bill. Because what's going to happen in the future, all these people that are saying, yes, the big, beautiful bill is going to hurt the country. The big, beautiful bill is going to raise the debt. The big, beautiful bill is going to do all these things. But the big, beautiful bill is going to do the opposite of all of this. Because we have to remember, the entire mission is not to keep everything status quo. The entire mission is to remove us from the system that we're in today. And I do believe this is why Trump and the Patriots and Elon are doing this right now. So Elon, he looked at this post from the rabbit hole, and it says, debt under Democrats, debt under Republicans. Neither of the major parties have been successful so far in addressing this issue. So when you look back in time and you look at the Democrats and you look at the Republicans, they all did the same exact thing. They all raised the debt limit. They all spent a lot more money, and they increased the debt to $30 trillion plus dollars. And nothing has ever stopped this. Elon said they just pretend to be two parties. It's just one uniparty in reality. Think about that for a second. He just called out the uniparty. Echo says, now you understand why they faked the feud. Think about that for a second. Then Karma Patriot put this out. She said, like a moth to a flame. So what is she talking about? Well, she's talking about all the different propaganda outlets where they said Trump counters Elon's reduced spending rocket with subsidy missile. Head back to South Africa. Donald Trump threatens to unleash Doge on Elon Musk. So basically, every single propaganda outlet has pretty much the same exact headline, which is very, very interesting. Then Karma Patriot said, well, looks like President Trump just showed the mainstream media and the Democrats that he buckles to no one. No foreign leaders, not politicians, not lobbyists, not billionaires, not even to someone he considers a close friend. Just like last time, mainstream media has pounced on the Elon Trump feud like a hawk on a mouse. So just like last time, I'm not going to read too much into it just yet. Believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see. Let's talk about protecting our wealth. You probably think your 401k is safe, that it's growing, that'll be enough for your retirement. But what if it's not? Here's the truth. Your 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was created in a corporate boardroom to shift retirement costs and investment risks onto you. Designed to keep your money trapped, exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, uncertainty you can't control. Until now, Americans are taking back control by turning to real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands protect their future by converting part of their retirement savings into physical gold. Talk to Noble Gold today and learn how safe and easy it is to roll over your 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. Visit x22gold.com to get your free wealth protection kit, including a step-by-step guide to get started. That's x22gold.com. It's time to get your money out of the danger zone and into something real. And here's a bonus offer. Get rewarded for getting started. Open a qualified account at x22gold.com and they'll send you 2 5-ounce Silver America the Beautiful coins free. That is x22gold.com or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. And I do believe she's absolutely right. Basically, they have separated themselves, and now those individuals that said they're all for MAGA, they're going to separate themselves from MAGA because they were pretend MAGA people. And the rhinos, they're going to show who they truly are. The Ds, we already know who they are. And a lot of the influencers and a lot of other people, you're going to start to see a separation now. And then you're going to start to see a lot of people attack the big, beautiful bill. But again, when you do something like this calls attention to it, and it calls attention to the central bank system. And I do believe this is being done on purpose because in the end, if we're going to get rid of the central bank system, this is very, very important. This is the beginning of the narrative. Plus, if you notice, Trump continually threatens Elon with cutting all subsidies and having Doge investigate SpaceX, Tesla, and the rest. Think about why he is doing this. Because how do you introduce evidence where it looks like it was done over an argument where Trump just didn't come out and say, look what we found here? Think about that for a second. Now, the other thing that we could see, and like we said before, I do believe Trump put certain things, or had Johnson and others put certain things into the bill to distract the Ds, distract the rhinos from what he really wanted. Because again, when you look at the part of the bill that kicked these illegals off Medicaid, Trump can take care of this with an executive order. Yes. Would it be law where any illegal that is on Medicaid, they can be kicked off automatically? But I do believe Trump at this point in time can do this with an executive order. And as we move forward into the midterms and we take complete and utter control, can this be put into place? Absolutely. I think at that time we won't have any problem. Now, there was something else in there, and 17 Absolute Redo 76 put this out. He says, am I the only one that's noticed that 99% of all amazing Second Amendment stuff in the BBB has been stripped away? Not sure how I feel about that. So think about this for a second. Of course, we know the Ds, a lot of the rhinos, they don't want this in there. But again, we already have a constitution, shall not infringe. So do we really need this in the big, beautiful bill? I mean, how many laws are we going to make to actually back up the laws that we already have? I mean, we have the law of the land, which is called the Constitution. All we have to do is follow it. And that tells you everything you know. It says, shall not infringe. The First Amendment says that Congress should not make any laws against any of these things. So the founding fathers are telling you, listen, you can't write any laws against what we put in here. Period. The end. So I do believe that Trump and team, they did this on purpose. But we'll be talking a lot more about how Trump and Elon, how Trump, I do believe, is going to be setting Elon free. Now, the other thing that we can see is that Russia now, their forces have completed their conquest of Luhansk region. And now they have full control of the entire region. And what's very interesting about this is that Russia, and I think we're starting to see Trump's plan here, Russia is continually bombing and bombing and bombing Ukraine. And Trump keeps saying people are dying left and right. He's in the middle. He's not for Putin. He's not for Zelensky. He wants to end this. And it looks like that this is a war of attrition. Now, this war could go on forever, but what would have to happen for this war to go on forever? Ukraine would have to be funded, correct? So what happens if there is no funding? How long do you think the war will go? How long do you think Ukraine will last? This happened to the Russians with Afghanistan, didn't it? They lost because it was a war of attrition. I do believe Trump is using this strategy. Since taking office in January 2025, the Trump administration initially paused all military aid to Ukraine, including weapon shipments and funding for new arms sales. So that's very interesting. This pause affected over $1 billion in arms and ammunition already in the pipeline, including equipment authorized under the Biden administration. The decision followed a public dispute with Ukrainian President Zelensky and was framed by Trump as leverage to push Ukraine toward peace negotiations with Russia. I do believe it was done to have him sign the rare earth minerals deal, because as soon as they signed the rare earth minerals deal, what did Trump do? Well, he approved a $310 million sale of F-16 parts, maintenance, and training for Ukraine, indicating further resumption of military support. And there is no evidence of direct money transfers to Ukraine from the Trump administration since January 2025. So no money has gone into Ukraine. All they were given was parts, maintenance, and other things. So Ukraine is struggling right now, and it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on. And I do believe in the end, this is going to bring Ukraine to the table where they're going to have peace, because Putin right now, he's going to keep the lands. They're going to be part of Russia. Ukraine will have no leverage whatsoever. The deep state players will have no leverage whatsoever. And the other thing that's very interesting is that Trump and his administration, they have lifted sanctions on Syria. And we can see that there's going to be a lot of Middle Eastern countries that are going to be brought into the Abraham Accords, which means that Iran is going to be isolated. I do believe this has been part of Trump's plan from the very, very beginning when he actually went ahead with the Abraham Accords. And what's very interesting is that a Middle East that is unified under the Abraham Accords, minus Iran, will reshape the region toward greater stability, economic integration, and Israeli-Arab cooperation, which means everyone now will have the power and Iran will not. So basically what Trump did was he is now isolating Iran, and every day that passes, as more and more of Middle Eastern countries come on to the Abraham Accord, they're now working together with Israel. So it's going to be all the Arab nations against Iran, against the deep state players. And maybe this is why Trump says eventually what's going to happen is Iran is going to basically call and say, let's make a deal. Disclosed TV put this out and said, Trump, we'll get whatever we want from Iran. I think we'll have a deal next week. Now, once again, we know that he says that Iran is going to, come to the table and negotiate and make a deal, because, again, what is happening right now with all this pressure with their uranium enrichment plant completely destroyed, all three of them, with the Abraham Accords where every single one of the Arab nations are moving away from Iran, and now Iran is being isolated. Trump has all the leverage right now, and he is expecting for Iran to come to the negotiating table. Now, Trump is not going to contact them. He's not going to say, hey, by the way, let's negotiate, because Trump has all the leverage. Now, of course, the deep state players, they don't want this to happen. But I think what's happening right now with inside Iran, I do believe they're losing power. And I do believe eventually what's going to happen, as the people of the country and other individuals within the country see that they're being isolated, this is not going to work out too well for all of them. And the Trump administration, they've notified Congress of plans to provide $510 million in guidance systems to Israel for its 2,000-pound bomb and 500-pound bombs. So the military weapons package includes 3,845 JDAM guidance kits for 2,000-pound BLU 109 bombs and 3,280 JDAM kits for MK82 500-pound bombs. So again, I do believe Trump made a deal with Israel. Trump was telling Netanyahu what to do because he made a deal with them, and it looks like Israel did exactly what Trump wanted. And now, with everything that's going on, Iran is isolated. Iran is in trouble. And I do believe Trump is going to keep the pressure up. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that we could see that everything the CDC, the FDA, Fauci, the HHS, everything that they have done going way, way back in time, it is now coming out, and what people are starting to learn is that these individuals, they've been lying to the public for a very, very long time. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is exposing all of this to the people. I think in the end, we're going to find out that they've been also hiding cures from the public. And we're going to find out that there were cures for cancer, but the pharmaceutical and many other individuals, they didn't want anyone to know this because there's no money in the cure. The money is in the treatment, and the money is in getting people sick and then treating them for the sickness that they created. Green Lives Matter put this out and said, wow, Fauci's financier developed a technique designed to hide the human origins of manipulated virus, while Fauci himself helped the Chinese military create the COVID pandemic. What is the public health rationale for this unless you are creating viruses specifically made for biological warfare? This sounds like treasonous behavior to me. And they used to call us conspiracy theorists for uttering these truths. But here we are. It's all about to come out now. And that's absolutely true. And what's very interesting is that as Tucker Carlson was interviewing RFK Jr., he actually came out and let everyone know that the CDC has been covering up an internal study which found 1,135% increase in autism risk from hepatitis B vaccines. And I think what people are going to start to realize is that, yeah, what they've been doing right now, they've been basically making our population sick, hurting our children. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny responded to this and said, so now it's official. The CDC has evidence of a 1,135% increased risk of autism from hepatitis B shot, and they covered it up. Not a mistake, not a misprint, a cover-up. RFK Jr. is simply saying out loud what many of us have known and been attacked for saying for decades. The science was never missing. It was suppressed. This isn't just corruption. It's criminal. How many children were harmed while experts told parents, trust the science? It's time to clean house. And think about it. When you bring your child to a pediatrician, you think the pediatrician is doing everything in your best interest. But what happens if they're doing it to make money? What happens if they're doing it to meet a quota and they don't care what the ramifications are of the vaccine that they never really looked into? They just believe whatever the pharmaceutical companies have told them. These people are salespeople, just like if you're going to buy a car. Kame has put this out and said, pediatricians are paid huge bonuses to push vaccines, with 50% of their revenue tied to shots. Corporate greed now controls 80% of doctors, forcing them to prioritize profits over your child's care. Secretary Kennedy exposes a troubling reality in pediatric, revealing systematic incentives that prioritize profits over patient care. He highlights a published article stating that 50% of pediatricians' revenues now come from vaccines. Insurance companies like Blue Cross exacerbate this by offering substantial bonuses, potentially tens of thousands of dollars to pediatricians to ensure 95% of their patients are fully vaccinated. This creates a perverse incentive structure where doctors may expel families who request slower or alternative vaccine schedules, as these choices jeopardize their financial bonuses. Kennedy further notes a seismic shift in the medical landscape. 20 years ago, only 20% of doctors work for corporations. Today, 80% do. These corporations often prioritize revenue over patient outcomes, pressuring doctors to focus on the bottom line. Compounding this, medical school graduates face crushing debt, forcing them to secure corporate jobs to avoid financial ruin. This environment undermines true medical practices as doctors are coerced into prioritizing corporate profits over individualized patient care. The result is a healthcare system that increasingly serves financial interests rather than the well-being of children and families. And when you look at what happened during COVID, these same doctors came out and told you, hey, listen, believe me, the vaccines are safe. They had no idea if they were safe. They'd never even looked at the data. They never even seen the test. They didn't know anything about it. And they lied to the people of this country and the people of the world. And you can see it's all completely and utterly falling apart. Just like it's all falling apart out in California. The California Department of Education, they just received word that billions of dollars appropriated by Congress for the coming school year are being illegally impounded by the Trump administration. Libs of TikTok responded to this and said, California's Department of Education has repeatedly pushed policies allowing males to invade female spaces and promote DEI, CRT, and LGBTQ propaganda. F around, find out. And the other thing that's really interesting is that this individual, Stephen Ireland, he continually targeted J.K. Rowling and said, she was transphobic and whatever she's saying is completely and utterly fake and phony and false, and you have no idea what you're talking about. Well, it turns out that individual, he was jailed for raping a boy of 12. J.K. Rowling said, Stephen Ireland, who targeted me with endless abuse on here because I oppose the chemical castration of children and the removal of protected spaces for women and girls, has just been sentenced to 30 years in jail for child rape. It's always the same, isn't it? Because these individuals are groomers. They're pedophiles. And every day that passes, everyone can now see the truth. Just like they're seeing the truth about Ma'am Danny. Now, think about it. Ma'am Danny's going around saying that he's going to be creating these big government-owned grocery stores. But it looks like he read the print wrong, and he's trying to take money that doesn't exist to create these government-run stores. And, of course, when you have a government-run store, it runs beautifully, and everything's perfect, and they have a budget, and everything runs smoothly. Well, if you ever look at government agencies, businesses, they're a complete and utter mess. All you got to do is look at the Democratic cities, Democrat states. You can see the truth right there. Tim Carney put this out and said, this is a bit embarrassing. Ma'am Danny has a plan for paying for his city-owned grocery stores. He's planning to tap into a $140 million pile of subsidies for corporate grocery stores. But the pile of money doesn't exist. He just misread a government website. Whoops. He's not getting that money. And he keeps saying that he's from a third world nation and he understands the third world. Well, Renew put this out and said, Ma'am Danny's mother is a world-famous Academy Award-nominated Bollywood director worth tens of millions of dollars. His father is a chaired professor at Columbia. He's, in effect, a perpetual theater kid who's pretending to be the third world. It's all so performative and stupid. And this is what they do. Just like AOC and the rest, they lie to you. They create the illusion of who they really are. And people find out the truth in the end. Now, what's very interesting is that we know that Trump has been going after Tom Massey. And it looks like Elon now is saying that he'll donate to Representative Tom Massey. And Tom Massey put this out and said, an interesting thing just happened. Elon Musk said, you're awesome. Now, Trump, he put this out on Truth and said, new poll, anybody I endorse beats Tom Massey of Kentucky by 25 points. Get ready. Massey is a very bad guy. So let's say we have Elon on one side supporting Massey. We have Trump saying that he's going to endorse anybody, and anybody will be able to beat Massey. And what is Elon going to do? He's going to bring all the fake people to his side, and Trump will be able to see the board very, very clearly. Actually, all of us will be able to see the board very, very clearly. But there is an individual that is going to be running against Representative Massey. Nikki Lee Ethington, a nurse who has never sought office, is the sole candidate so far to file a primary challenger to Representative Thomas Massey. And she says that I'm the kind of person that the people of Kentucky are looking for. Let's see how this all plays out. Because Trump's pollster, John McLaughlin, says that 52% of 4th District GOP voters said they would support a Trump-endorsed candidate over Massey, and only 23% said they support Massey. I think right now Massey is in trouble, and I think we have two sides now, and this is going to be very, very interesting. We have the Trump side, we have the Elon side, but I do believe this is all being done on purpose, because how do you tell who's truly with you and who truly isn't, especially the politicians? Because remember, we're going into the midterms. This is very, very important. And like we said from the very, very beginning, the D's, they are not for America. How do we know this? Well, N. Wokeness put this out, and this is a Gallup poll. Percentage who say they are very extremely proud to be an American. In 2001, Democrats said 87% yes, Republicans 90% yes. In 2025, Democrats only 36% say yes. I do believe this number is probably even lower. Republicans 92%. So Republicans went up 2%. Democrats went down 51%. This should tell you everything you need to know right there. Now, what's very interesting is that Trump has been telling everyone, if we go back to April, he told everyone, don't be a panicking. This is what he put out back in April of 2025. The United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak, don't be stupid, don't be a panicking. A new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result. So decades ago, is that remove the central bank, remove the entrenched enemy? I do believe so. Clandestine responds to this and says, we witnessed Trump deliver a crippling blow to the panicans, embarrassing them on the world stage with Iran. After we just witnessed the panicans overreact to the tariff and market dip last month, are you noticing a trend? The panicans are always wrong. Do you really want to bet against Trump again? How many times must he prove the panicans wrong before they consider Trump might know what he's doing? Flash back to April. Trump told us not to panic. He was right. Very interesting. And with the big, beautiful bill that just passed, we see that there are 3 individuals who are rhinos, Collins, Tillis, Paul. They decided to vote no on the bill. And J.D. Vance, he was the tiebreaker in all of this. And this big, beautiful bill, this is just the beginning. And what's very interesting, with everything that is going on with Elon, it seems that people believe that Trump's ratings is going to go down. And with Elon leaving, Trump is going to be in trouble. Actually, the opposite is happening. Frank Lutz put this out and said, over the weekend, Donald Trump threatened to primary Republicans who vote against the big, beautiful bill. Now Elon Musk is threatening to primary Republicans who vote for the big, beautiful bill. Rich Barris responded and said, well, Elon has a toxic favorability rating right now. Trump does not. It has outpaced his approval for 3 months now. So think about it. Those individuals that are going with the big, beautiful bill, Elon is saying that they're going to be primary. Now, the MAGA people, they know that the big, beautiful bill is going to help. When people start to see this, now think about what they set up already. As we go from now until the midterms, people are going to see the economy improve. They're going to see that, look, my taxes were removed. Look, the economy is improving. Fuel prices are going down. Look, manufacturers are coming back into this country. Look, there are many, many more jobs. Look what's happening. And with the gold card, the Trump card, as he sells that, wait a minute, the debt is being paid down right now. So what's going on here? The people are going to see this. Basically, they just set all of this up. And what's very interesting with what Trump said, it looks like he's actually speaking to the people. MJ Truth Ultra put this out and said, President Trump is literally speaking to Anons. Listen to what he says about Elon Musk and very specifically about how Elon is the most subsidized human in history. Q asked why Elon Musk provided big worldwide subsidies. That question, when researching, leads to extraordinary answers. Elite globalist families sought to control the world by militarizing space and holding nations hostage with nuclear weapons. Their plan involved enabling North Korea and Iran to develop nuclear capabilities to trigger a global conflict, potentially World War III, to destroy the United States. Hillary Clinton, they never thought she was going to lose, was expected to win in 2016, was tasked with escalating tensions with Russia to spark this war, while a CIA-controlled North Korea served as a backup plan. The 2010 Uranium One deal, approved by Obama and the U.S. government under Clinton's State Department, allowed Russia's Rosatom to acquire U.S. uranium assets, allegedly supplying uranium to North Korea and Iran. Operation Merlin covertly provided nuclear technology to these nations, and Obama's billions in cash was key, likely funded further development, with funds possibly reaching black site projects to Iran, North Korea, ISIS, likely orchestrated by no-name McCain. SpaceX, Elon Musk, was heavily subsidized by the U.S. government through CIA arrangements via RISV, Traverse Management, ensuring its survival. Obama scaled back NASA to funnel funds to SpaceX, providing advanced rocket technology to North Korea. In return, the CIA gained access to SpaceX Iridium satellites, which likely provided guidance systems for North Korea, ICBMs, allowing the CIA to redirect potential nukes to any target. Like Eric Prince Blackwater, SpaceX is a private company effectively controlled by government funding, serving globalist goals. Obama was installed to facilitate Uranium One and SpaceX subsidies. Suhail Rizvi, tied to SpaceX funding, was linked to Saudi Prince Alweed bin Talal, a Twitter shareholder who backed Obama's rise, paid for Harvard. President Trump disrupted his plan upon taking office. Despite mainstream media claims he'd start World War III, it is highly likely a covert military operation demolished North Korea's nuclear program in a mountain collapse. The cover was earthquake, neutralizing the threat in a clandestine white hat operation to remove North Korea from globalist cabal's chessboard. On 20th of April 2018, the North Korean government announced that it would suspend nuclear tests and shut down the nuclear test site. Trump also exposed massive subsidies, highlighting SpaceX questionable funding. SpaceX was a globalist tool to militarize space with Iridium satellites, enabling North Korea's ICBM tracking, creating a global hostage scenario with globalist elites holding the trigger. The CIA could use these satellites like Amazon Echo devices to manipulate threats, potentially staging an attack to blame Russia. Q questioned Musk's subsidies, and Trump's remarks about Musk being the most subsidized human in history is a signal that he's exposing the globalist scheme. What I am unsure of in all of this is Elon Musk. Was he willing participant? Is he Elon 2.0? Was he freed? I do believe Trump and Elon pretty much set this up. I do believe Obama was using Elon, and when Elon worked with Trump and they both were together, I do believe they came up with a plan. If we go back to post 209, why did Barack Obama scuttle the shuttle program? What is SpaceX? Expand your thinking. Barack Obama deliberately scaled back NASA in order to subsidize SpaceX, so as to be able to share the most current rocket technology. Obama dismantled the shuttle program so the U.S. military cannot send their satellite weapons equipment into space. SpaceX is private, with its own patent, IP, intellectual property, and receives funds from the government. The government controls a lot of this. The globalists were going to use SpaceX because SpaceX was able to develop these cheap, reusable rockets. And North Korea, well, they would be able to use this. Now, again, we know that CIA was controlling North Korea, and we could see this is why this was done. Post-2011, North Korea, SpaceX. So Uranium One was given to North Korea. That was the uranium that they needed. Who provided this? Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the rest. SpaceX was giving them the rocket tech. All of this was to start World War III. Now, if North Korea wasn't going to do it, they had Iran. Remember, they needed somebody. They were trying to start a war with Russia, but I think Putin was a little bit too smart, and he wasn't just going to go all nuclear because he kept calling out the deep state every time they tried a false flag. So were they going to use North Korea? Yes, Trump shut that down. Were they going to use Iran? Yes, Trump just shut that down. He's setting it all up because he's actually creating the narrative to go after Obama. And I do believe with all of this, where he's saying that Elon is the most subsidized man, I do believe he's letting everyone know that, yeah, we're going to get rid of his subsidies. And what's very interesting about all of this, it seems like they set this up so this way the optics are really good. And this way, Elon's companies can be cut from the government. But before we get to that, let me go to post 438, December 23rd, 2017. 2011 shuttle program terminated by Hussein. U.S. loses space dominance. Iran nuke deal. North Korea nuke missile tech. SpaceX. NASA Tech 2. Hillary Clinton. SAP's private server connected. A lot of dollar signs, which means a lot of money was paid for the technology, the rocket technology. Eye of Ra. Left eye marker. Symbolism. Who had a black eye on their eye? Elon Musk? Evil, stupid justice. So I do believe all of this was done, and I do believe Elon was let go of all of this. So remember when Trump put out that truth that Elon is the the most subsidized individual, that we need to have Doge take a look at Musk's subsidies. Why would you have Doge, which Elon kind of created? He put it all together. What would Doge find out? What would the autists find out? Would they go in and look at what has been going on and bring out the information that shows that his rocket technology was stolen from his companies and it was placed on Hillary's servers and transferred to Iran and North Korea and maybe other places? How else do you bring out this type of evidence and make it look like it was just found? Remember, the public, they need to understand all of this. And it looks like Elon has given Trump the signal to cut all subsidies. This is what Elon responded to Trump. I'm literally saying, cut it all now. And he did cut it all in caps. I do believe that this is all put into place to set up Obama and to show that Hillary Clinton, Obama, and the rest, they were involved in everything that we're seeing today. Actually, all the dots are going to start to get connected. And you can see the deep state players, they're panicking right now. Why do you think they're trying to hold on to Iran as best they possibly can? Because they understand what's coming. And they understand that now they're screwed. And I do believe in the end, people are going to see the truth. So let's see what Trump does. Let's see the next move right now, because this is going to be very, very interesting. But one thing we know for sure is that the Patriots are in complete and utter control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.